Hey, everybody. Good. This is the April 17th, 2025 regular village board meeting. I'm going to call the meeting now. Let's have a roll call, please.
Trustee Hall. Here. Trustee Listener.
Here.
Trustee Neolopoulos.
Here.
Trustee Underdog. Here. Trustee Rubin. Here. Trustee Scott. President Rowan.
Here. We are not live streaming this meeting tonight because we're not in the village hall. But the video recording will be available on the village YouTube channel. First item on the agenda is consideration of minutes. We have circulated to the board and these published online the Board of Trustees meeting for March 20, 2025. Unless there are comments or questions or suggestions, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve minutes.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? The minutes are approved. The next item on the agenda is public comment. This portion of the meeting allows those in attendance to address the board regarding non-agenda items. It has to go. The items have to be within our purview and jurisdiction, and a non-agenda item is something that's not listed in another location on the agenda. If you want to talk about an item that is listed on the agenda, we'll ask that you wait until that item is called, and we'll give you an opportunity to speak then. If your matter is on the consent agenda, please let us know in advance if you'd like us to remove the matter from the consent agenda so you can speak about it. Anyone who wants to speak should fill out a written speaker form, which is located at the back, or actually outside the boardroom, right at the door, and submit it to the village manager. The time for public comment is an opportunity to make comments to the village board. We will listen to everything we have to say, but this is not ordinarily a time for discussion or engagement. If it's appropriate, we may ask, we may direct the village manager or other village staff respond to questions or issues at a later date. All speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. To be fair to all, we will strictly enforce this rule, and we're going to limit all public comments to a total of 30 minutes. We ask speakers to be respectful, civil, and not repetitive. We ask that all members of the audience refrain from applauding or making other comments during or after any speaker. Finally, be sure to speak directly into the microphone to ensure that everyone in the room and everyone watching online can hear. Are there any non-agenda comments? I don't see any. Okay, that takes us to the next agenda item, which is report of committees. The first report is the committee of the whole. I'm going to take that report now. We had a committee of the whole starting at 5:30, and we had a report from 4 of our various boards: the Public Safety Commission, the Council for Inclusion and Community and Sustainability Task Force, and the Tree Commission. They reported about what they're doing and whatnot, and on their 2024 annual reports. Next report is the Finance Committee. Rubin is the chair of that, and I'll ask you to report now.
Thank you. At the April 15th Finance Committee meeting, the committee discussed the monthly financial reports for the month of March. General fund revenue performance for a number of the village's revenue sources exceeded both monthly budgeting targets and prior year receipts, including utility taxes, building permits, and sewer charges. The water fund also had a strong month with total revenues exceeding budget. We also talked about the fact that costs and expenses were coming in pretty much as expected. We talked about the potential impacts of the federal tariffs that have been imposed and or suspended. At this point in time, good news is there's no cause for immediate concern for the village's operations, but staff is compiling a list of budget expenditures that we can either scale back, postpone if the economic climate warrants a change. That is, if we start to experience unexpected additional expenses that aren't currently called for in our budget because of the tariffs or availability of supplies or equipment. We discussed the village's semi-annual debt service payments, which are forthcoming. Most of them are on next month, but there is one, first payment of villages, Illinois EPA loan is on the board agenda for tonight. We discussed a number of changes to the timelines for capital projects scheduled for 2025, as well as 2 projects that are presented for approval this evening. Lastly, the committee discussed the proposed calendar year 2026 budget. We were not talking about 2026 budget. The timeline for that, which we're kicking off next month. We're expediting the timeline to get this done sooner in the year. We'd like to be completely done with it by November rather than December. This will allow more time at the end of the process or pivot in the changing environment, but will also allow the village to begin the procurement processes for 2026 a month early. And we have found that that can be quite advantageous in terms of the ability to have vendors work with us and get good pricing. It's the report. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much for that report. The next report is the Plan Commission. Trustee Listener is our representative on that. Trustee Listener.
Yes, our plan commission did not meet last month, and actually our meeting, which had been scheduled for next week on Wednesday, has been canceled due to lack of activity needed. So our next scheduled meeting will be the 4th Wednesday.
Thank you for that report. The next report is the Golf Advisory Committee. Trustee Paul Wax is our representative on that.
Thank you. The Golf Advisory Committee is scheduled to meet this Monday, April 21st. March started out slow with temperatures below normal, where we were able to hit our budgeted numbers with the last 5 days of the month. On April 22nd, at Friends of the Glencoe Golf Club meeting is scheduled, and the agenda is welcoming of Sarah Fapps, the new member of the board. Staff's working on the clubhouse groundbreaking event, which is scheduled for May 19th at 9:30 a.m. All are invited to attend. The invitation will be shared again this week in Village E-News. Please RSVP if you plan to attend. And the construction, fencing, and demolition of the existing clubhouse will take place in the early part of May.
Thanks very much for that report. The next report is the Sustainability Task Force. And Trustee Cleveland is going to report on that as our representative.
Thank you. The STF, we have not had a meeting since the last village board meeting. The village did, however, put out a call for proposals for the Sustainability Action Plan. The deadline for submitting these proposals was just yesterday, and we received 4 proposals. The village will put together a team to evaluate these proposals and will follow up with interviews as necessary. We are also planning our 6th annual Donate and Recycle drop-off event. It will be on May 31st between 10 and 1. Several vendors will be on hand to collect items for donation or recycling, and our next meeting will be Tuesday, April 22. Thank you.
Thanks very much for that report. The next report is the Council for Inclusion and Community, and our representative on that is Trustee Scott.
Thank you. The GCIC and support from staff met on Monday, April 7th to review the annual report, which is presented tonight with the committee as a whole. And in addition, the council reviewed a wealth of other activities and events that they participated in over the course of the previous months. The council also discussed the timeline for future social media postings and debriefed on recent events, including the District 35 Family Belonging event held on March 11th, and the library presentation from Carrie Hoza, former U.S. Army captain and Bronze Star recipient. The council planned for upcoming events, including the sidewalk sale at 4th Gates, as well as an outstanding invitation from the Career Transition Center for mom interviews with students. The council discussed potential coordination with the Highland Park Human Relations Advisory Board and future community initiatives as opportunities. The next meeting of the GCIC is Monday, May 5th.
Thanks very much for that report. Our next report is on the Preservation Commission, and Trustee Otterdo is a representative on that.
Thank you. At its April 1st meeting, the Preservation Commission began preparations for their village board presentation on May 15th. This presentation, this presentation will include an overview of the current preservation-related issues in the village, a summary of new and ongoing commission initiatives, and a discussion of potential new strategies to support the commission's work. The commission also discussed how best to pursue and maintain opportunities for communication and collaboration with other village groups such as the Historical Society and various boards and commissions. The commission then considered the proposed demolition of a single-family residence at 368 Adams Avenue. The house is in poor condition and the commission determined that no further preservation-related action is warranted. The next meeting of the commission is scheduled for May 6th.
Thanks for that report.
Next week.
The next report is the tree commission, also trustee Unger.
Okay. On April 14th, the tree commission held their second meeting of the year at Village Hall. Updates were provided by the village staff, including the village's 2025 spring tree planting program, the proposed Arbor Day celebration with District 35 in West School, and I believe that's going to be on April 25th. They also talked about the joint tree nursery project with the park districts, and did a review of the spring buckthorn collection program, as well as updates to the clubhouse, the post clubhouse and Forest Edge subdivision. They talked about the content of the annual report that was given earlier this evening, and the commission members also spoke about attending the Chicago Regional Trees Initiative training program that was held at the Morton Arboretum. Both city staff and 2 commissioners attended. Finally, the tree commission brainstormed ideas for public outreach, including highlighting historic trees and creating a public facing trees map with their GIS data. It's amazing what the computer people can do. The next tree commission meeting will be on May 27th.
Thanks very much for that report. That concludes the reports of our committees and commissions. The next item on the agenda is reports of officers, and the first part is the village manager's report. Village manager.
Good evening, thank you, President Rowan, and good evening to the board and all audience. Just a few items on my report this evening that I wanted to make mention of. The first relates to our first quarter departmental report, which has been included in the packet. It's also in front of all trustees this evening. So this is outlining work that our staff has been focused on between January 1st and March 31st. Just a few highlights that I want to point out. January marked the launch of our new strategic plan, our 2025 and 2027 strategic plan. Staff has gotten underway on work related to the initiatives within the plan. And to date, we've reported about 11% progress on the strategic initiatives within that strategic plan. Those are outlined, or I should say the progress is outlined starting on page 19 of the quarterly report. There is a public-facing dashboard that we are working on that will outline the village's progress on these goals and initiatives. That is expected to be available during the second quarter, so we will report out on that at the end of the second quarter. To date, the village has received about 46% of our budgeted tax levy. This quarter, we saw an increase in single-family housing permits compared to the first quarter of last year. We expect this trend to continue as permits for Forest Edge subdivisions start to be issued later this year. Permit revenue has nearly doubled this quarter compared to first quarter of 24. Public Works has been busy, getting work done to issue RFPs on budgeted items, and projects for this year. In the first quarter, 7 of those RFPs were issued, many of them have been awarded, some are on the agenda this evening. Public Works crews responded to 20 snow and ice events, during the first quarter, requiring 1,633 man hours. The golf club got ready for its season, and we are also prepping for the clubhouse construction to begin. And although no increase in incidents have occurred in Glencoe, our public safety department has responded to an increase in commercial burglaries throughout the North Shore by increasing its own presence and patrol of Glencoe's 3 business districts. So just a couple of highlights of things that are outlined in that report. We will be pushing it out at e-news and through social media, and encourage everyone to look at it. As I mentioned, the clubhouse construction, we are hoping is going to be very soon underway, and because of that, we have finally been able to schedule our groundbreaking ceremony. That is going to take place on Monday, May 19th, starting at 10 a.m. We have sent out a number of electronic invitations to folks who we're hoping are going to be able to attend, but it is open to the public at large. We are asking that people RSVP. There is information that we are pushing out through e-news and again on the village's website as well. Vehicle licenses, as I've been talking about for the last few months, we have transitioned this year to a virtual vehicle license program, and those vehicle and pet licenses need to be renewed by Thursday, May 1st. The physical stickers are still available if people are interested in those. To date, based on the numbers I got today from our finance division, about 2/3 of the licenses in the community have been renewed. I would encourage everyone not to wait to the last second, and especially don't wait till after May 1st, because the late penalty goes into effect then, and it is significantly more expensive. It could not be easier to renew. You can do so online, in person, or through mail. And then just a couple of upcoming events next week for Earth Day and Arbor Day. So Earth Day will be celebrated in Glencoe on April 22nd. This year, the Park District's hosting a beach cleanup, which begins at 3:30 that day. They are also going to be doing a tree planting that afternoon at Lakefront Park. And then the village's celebration of Arbor Day will take place on Friday, April 25th, as is our tradition. We always plant a tree at one of our 3 schools. This year, it will be at West School. Ceremony begins at 1:30, and we hope everyone can participate. I also just wanted to make note of a meeting that we had this week, that staff had this week, and more information on this is going to be coming out in the coming few weeks and months. But we met with representatives from Skokie Country Club and the Western Golf Association about the upcoming Western Amateur Championship, which will be hosted at the club from July 28th to August 2nd. Last hosted in Glencoe in 2017, this event brings some of the brightest young golfers from across the world to our community. Past amateur champions have included Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, and Phil Mickelson. While it's an exciting event, we do not anticipate an overwhelming impact to the community. The event is open to the public for at least a portion of the week-long schedule, and we are coordinating parking and traffic plans with the club, which is going to be discouraging neighborhood parking in favor of other off-street options, such as the spaces surrounding Central School. As I mentioned, more information is going to be forthcoming soon, and as soon as we have that, we will be sharing it with the community. But it's a pretty exciting event to have within our community. So that is all I have for my report.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is the village president's report. That's me. Mostly, we're going to be doing proclamations, including one for which we have the audience. Before we get to the proclamations, I'm not sure a lot of people noticed based on the turnout, but there was an election on April 1st, April Fool's Day. The election is really a reflection of the success of our caucus system, because all of the candidates for the village board were unopposed. trustee Onderduck and Rubin were reelected pretty much unanimously. Incoming trustee Rosenblatt was elected for the first time unanimously, and I was re-elected president unanimously again. That's fine. I think what it reflects is the success of our caucus system, which I continue to think is doing a good job. Next month, on May 15th meeting, this board will meet one more time, and then at the end of that meeting, we'll get a new board. Trustee Listener will be retiring. She's termed out. She served her 2 terms, and I'll have more to say about that in May. Incoming trustee Rosenblatt will and again, I'm certainly grateful for the opportunity to continue serving the village. I'm sure that the re-elected, the newly elected trustees likewise feel that way. The next item on the agenda, the reason people are here, is a proclamation recognizing the contributions and service of retiring public safety lieutenant Kevin Kalinsky. And I will ask Public Safety Director Sean Lockwood to make comments. And then we have the proclamation, which I would like to have the opportunity to.
Well, thank you, President Rowan. Thank you, members of the board, and Manager Crowley. It is with great pleasure that I am introducing now retired Lieutenant Kevin Kalinsky, and joined by his family and by members of both of the Public Safety Department, all over both from days who wanted to ensure they're part of the ceremony, and also mention as well too. It is amazing as an individual who's of another agency. It is amazing. It's a wonderful thing. It can also be a heart-wrenching thing to leave an agency after working for decades as Kevin has. Kevin has dedicated himself and has dedicated his life, again, as mentioned, for 2 decades. Our village has benefited from it greatly. So I just wanted to say, Kevin, thank you very much. On behalf of the department, thank you to your family also for everything that, for allowing Kevin to be part of this and for being part of the team. So, thank you.
Thanks for those comments, and what I'd like to do now, if you'll bear with me, is to read the proclamation recognizing the contributions and service of Public Safety Lieutenant Kevin Kalinsky. Whereas Kevin, which by the way, we have published online and we've circulated to the board of trustees. Whereas Kevin Kalinsky served the village of Glencoe in the Public Safety Department for 23 years as a public safety officer and lieutenant. And whereas Kevin Kalinsky is a public safety officer from 2001 until 2019, served in a variety of capacities, including field training officer, rifle, taser handgun instructor, paramedic, fire inspector, fire instructor, and apparatus engineer. Whereas Kevin Kalinsky joined the Glencoe Public Safety Department with a myriad of lifetime experiences, including 4 years in the United States Army as a corporal in the military police, leading a 3-person squad of soldiers, 4 years as a village of Wakanda police officer, having been certified as an evidence technician, fatal accident investigator, and counterable inspector. And whereas Kevin Kalinsky served in his role as public safety officer as a member of specialized units, including NORTAF, the NORTAF Burglary Task Force. And whereas Kevin Kalinsky served as a lieutenant from 2019 until his retirement on April 1st, 2025, serving as the auxiliary and police equipment lieutenant responsible for vehicle and equipment maintenance and acquisition and facility security. Whereas Kevin Kalinsky attained fire safety officer and blue card incident command certification. As a graduate of the Northwestern University School of Police Supervision, served as past president of the Glencoe Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 136. And whereas Kevin Kalinsky fulfilled his responsibilities the residents of the village of Glencoe in a professional, responsible, and honorary way, and made contributions that positively affected the quality and value of life in the village of Glencoe. Having been recognized for hard work and accomplishments by village residents, staff, and its chain of command in the form of numerous awards, including 19 complimentary letters, 23 memorandum of recognition, the recognition of excellence ribbon, the Special Service Award for 23 years of service, the Field Training Officer Award, the Medic Award, the Military Service Award, and the Special Teams Assignment Ribbon. And whereas Kevin Glencoe has carried out the roles of Public Safety Officer and Lieutenant, and served the Public Safety Department with honor and distinction. Now therefore be it resolved that the village president and the board of trustees of the village of Glencoe, Illinois, express on behalf of all residents of the village their appreciation to Kevin Glencoe for his outstanding service and dedication to the community as a valued member of the public safety department. Be it further resolved, this resolution be spread upon the minutes of this proceeding, and that an executed copy of this resolution be inscribed by the signature of the village president and bearing the corporate seal of the village of Glencoe as attested by the village clerk, be presented to Kevin Glencoe. Dated this day, it's the 17th of April, 2025, and signed by me as village president and by village manager Rowley, who also is the village clerk. We are sorry to see Lieutenant Glencoe go, and we are so grateful for what he's done for us. And I'd like to present this again.
Thank you. It was my honor to serve the residents of Glencoe. It was a fun ride, 23 years. And my expertise is going to help out another village in the area. So thank you.
Congratulations, and thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We are lucky to be with you. Okay, the next items on the agenda are a series of proclamations that were published online, circulated to the board, and I think unless anybody has any comments, we can approve them as a group. They are a proclamation declaring May 2025 Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. A proclamation declaring May 2025 as Jewish American Heritage Month. A proclamation declaring May 2025 as Mental Health Awareness Month. Proclamation declaring May 2025 as Preservation Month. A proclamation declaring May 4th, 2025 as International Firefighters Day. Proclamation declaring May 4th through 10th, 2025 as Public Service Recognition Week. A proclamation declaring May 11th through 17th as National Police Week. And a proclamation declaring May 18th, through 24th, 2025 as National Public Works Week. Unless there are any comments, is there a motion to approve all of these proclamations?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, and I think a voice vote will do. All in favor of the proclamation?
Aye.
Are there any no? The motion is approved, the proclamations are approved. And so all of them will be issued. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, and that is published online for the community. They've been reviewed by the board members either individually or as part of our committee as a whole. We don't think they warrant any further individual discussion. We offered an opportunity earlier in case there was public comment and one of those, and I don't see any. So, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded for this. Roll call, so let's have a roll call, please.
Trustee Hallwax.
Yes.
Trustee Lister.
Yes.
Trustee Mealopolis.
Yes.
Trustee Underhill.
yes,
Trustee Rubin.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
The consent agenda has been approved. So next item on the agenda is regular business. First item of regular business, consideration of ordinance adopting a zoning code amendment regarding the authority to continue non-conforming structures. We've talked about this before, and I'll ask our development services director to continue that. Right.
Thank you, President Rowan, members of the board. As you may remember, this was before you for the first step of the three-step zoning code amendment process last month. It's back here again this month for the third step, the one-step process. This proposed amendment is a clarifying and confirming amendment as opposed to a policy change amendment. This is a part of the code that staff felt needs clarification to confirm an existing and longstanding interpretation of the code. Has. And it is regarding the authority to continue non-conforming structure. Authority to continue is what you most likely refer to as the grandfathering of these non-conformities. The code allows the replacement up to 1 year after demolition, starting reconstruction up to 1 year after demolition of replacement structures, regardless of non-conformity, as long as those non-conformities are not replaced. You can replicate those non-conformities in a replacement structure up to 1 year after that structure is demolished, as long as you don't make them worse. If you're over on your floor area, you can remain over on your floor area as long as you're not below, and so on. The code is very clear that this does not apply to accessory structures. It applies to principal structures, which on a residential lot is usually, not always, but usually a single family house. It does not apply to a non-conforming detached garage, because that's an accessory structure. If you tear down a non-conforming detached garage and then replace it using those non-conformities in a new garage, you have to go to the ZBA and get a variation to do so. If you tear down the house, you don't need that, you can do it by right. So this proposed amendment would clarify and confirm current and longstanding interpretation that this ability to continue these non-conformities does not apply when a non-residential structure is replaced with a residence. So for example, an allowable use by right in the single-family zoning districts throughout the village would be a church or synagogue, school, park district building, golf course, things like that. You tore down those buildings, it's non-conforming, you could not replace it with a single-family residence that carries on those non-conformities. You can't take a 20,000 square foot church, tear it down, build a 20,000 square foot house. That is an interpretation that is, we did some research for the files, it's been confirmed elsewhere on similar projects throughout the village. There's a lot of text here, but this is the proposed amendment. This is a new section of the code. Section 7-4 through the code deals with the ability to continue non-conformities in structures. This is an entirely new section which would confirm that this ability to continue, which is described elsewhere in this section, does not apply when a non-residential structure is demolished and is replaced with a structure devoted to a different use. Key here. This is what was proposed to the zoning commission, and this is what is also proposed this evening. So this went to the zoning commission for a public hearing last month. This was the amendment that went to the zoning commission for consideration. The commission took some public comment. There was public comment from property owner, so it's currently a church building, in the village, they, plan on, they told staff they likely will demolish that church building and replace with a single family residence. They did not object to this proposal, they recognized that it was, needed, for the clarification. That was the only, public comment that the zoning commission received, during that public hearing. The commission considered two related questions. Should the authority to continue these nonconformities apply when a non-residential structure is replaced by a new structure with a different non-residential use? So for example, could you tear down a non-conforming church, replace it with a non-conforming school? The zoning commission recommended that you would not be able to continue the non-conformities and replace it with a different use. Even if you go from non-residential to non-residential, you would still basically be starting from scratch at that point. The new structure would need to meet all current zoning requirements. The second related consideration, should the ZBA have the ability to grant variations to allow new structures with new uses to continue previous non-conformities? So for example, if you tore down a non-conforming church building, could you go to the ZBA and say, I want to build a non-conforming school building, church to school, with the same non-conformities that would likely exceed what the ZBA can typically grant? The ZBA said, the zoning commission said, the ZBA should not have that. They should have their typical variation limits. Basically, tear down a non-conforming, non-residential building, you want to replace it with a different use, basically it's got to meet all current zoning requirements. You can still go to the ZBA and ask for their standard setback reductions, floor area increases, and so on, but you can't ask them to replicate all of the previous non-conformities. So after discussion, the ZBA recommended approval unanimously of the code amendment as presented to them with no changes. There's an amendment, there's an ordinance in the packet, which includes the proposed amendment and description of that public hearing, as well as two draft minutes. Again, 3 stages for code amendments. You had stage 1 last month, we referred this to the zoning commission. Stage 2, zoning commission held a public hearing and recommended approval as proposed. And we're here tonight for stage 3. The motion would be to approve the ordinance, which is to adopt this code amendment as proposed, or if you would like to make any changes to that ordinance, make it so as it was appropriate. That'll take any questions we have.
Thanks for that clear report, which sounds familiar, because we already did this, sent it to the zoning commission, and they said yes to it. Unless there are any comments or questions, I don't have any. Is there a motion to approve this zoning code?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Let's have a roll call, please.
Trustee Halifax.
Yes.
Trustee Lister.
Yes.
Trustee Neomalis.
Yes.
Trustee Underhill. Yes. Trustee Rubin.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Thank you, Taylor, for the presentation. The motion is approved and is adopted. The next item on the agenda is consideration of an ordinance amending the village code to ban the use of coal tar-based asphalt products. I'll ask our public works management analyst, Jeff Weston, to present on this. And Jeff, one thing I want to make sure you cover is the relationship between this and our recently obtained opioid authority.
All right, I will do that. Thank you. Seal coat is used on asphalt driveways and other asphalt surfaces to protect and preserve them. Some sealants are made with coal tar based materials. Coal tar contains polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAH, which have been linked to several different types of cancers in humans, including lung, skin, bladder, and respiratory cancers. As coal tar based seal ages, it wears in small particles that can contain high levels of PAH, which can then be trapped into houses and ingested. The runoff from coal tar seal coat has also been shown to be toxic to aquatic organisms. The village and the STF had previously looked into banning coal tar several years ago, but could not because it required home rule status. Now that the village has achieved home rule status, the STF has again endorsed the idea of implementing a coal tar ban in the village. Staff is requesting the village board to amend the village code to ban the use of coal tar materials in the village. The cost difference between alternate
materials is minimal, and so is the impact, and so the impact on Glencoe residents should also be minimal. As part of its own asphalt sealing operations, the village does not use any coal tar materials. It's also worthy of note that several other municipalities in the area have also banned coal tar, including Winnetka, Highland Park, Deerfield, Evanston, and North Country. Are there any questions?
And we get to do this, which we weren't able to do before, because we're home rule now.
That's correct.
Okay, unless there are any other questions, this is obviously a sensible thing to do. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Let's have a roll call, please.
Trustee Hall.
Yes.
Trustee Lister.
Yes.
Trustee Mealopoulos.
Yes.
Trustee Underhill.
Yes.
Trustee Rubin.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Motion carries, and Glencoe now bans the use of coal tar based asphalt product. The next item on the agenda is consideration of a resolution authorizing the village manager to execute a contract with Miller Pipeline of Mount Prospect, Illinois, for calendar year 2025 sidewalk and ADA improvement program for a total cost not to exceed $372,000. And I'll ask our public works director, Micah Sarna, to present the public monitor.
Thank you. Village trustees and President Rowan, this contract, we are wanting to award, with Miller Pipeline. The full scope of the work is, pedestrian crossing improvements, our annual sidewalk repair and replace for Area 1, and various utility restorations, and that will include concrete curb work, sidewalk work associated with, utility work that happens throughout the year. In Area 1, this is our north section of town. We reviewed the condition of the sidewalks last year, and we found a significant amount of sidewalks that will be repaired within the scope of work on the Eastwood and Bluff streets. I wanted to dive into the full scope of work for the pedestrian crossing improvements. This map here shows the locations of proposed pedestrian improvements. The first two I want to talk about are actually not included in this contract, but I did want to highlight them. The first one being Dundee and Holfelder. This has been removed from the scope of work because this is an IDOT signalized intersection. Within the past year, there have been recent updates to the roadway requirements, which is the pedestrian right-of-way accessibility guidelines. With that, it's requiring that we have audible pedestrian signals. And so as we kind of figure out and sort through the permitting requirements for that, this intersection will be on hold. The next one at Dundee and Bluff, this work will be completed. It's just not part of this contract. We recognize the overlap of this location with our Dundee water main improvements, and so that those pedestrian crossing improvements have been included in that scope of work. The next four, all along Little Green Bay Road, these are where we're going to start out and prioritize our construction as they get started. We're hoping that we finish these pedestrian crossing improvements prior to Memorial Day, when this area gets very busy because of Peak Park. Then we'll move on to the improvements at South and Green Bay and Harbor and Green Bay, as well as Madison and Linden. These will take place during the summer. These were pedestrian improvements that were identified in our activation plan, and were also part of the Safe Routes to School. I do want to point out that at South and Green Bay, we will also be installing the rapid rectangular flashing beacons, or the RRBs, which were purchased with last year's budget. Any questions?
Sure, what's the red Hopefeller and
That's
Dundee?
the one that will not get constructed this
Got
year. So all the other ones will get constructed. The two along Dundee are not part of this contract, but I did want to highlight them because they were included in the original scope when we were putting together the budget for this project.
Thanks for that clear report. Unless there are other questions or discussion, is there a motion to approve the resolution for the contract with Miller Pipeline?
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, let's have a roll call, please.
Trustee Hallwax.
Yes.
Trustee Lister.
Yes.
Trustee Mealoness.
Yes.
Trustee Underdog.
Yes.
Trustee Rubin.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
The motion carries, so the contracts, with the river pipeline proceed. The next item on the agenda is consideration of a resolution approving, the greenhouse shelter park nursery land use agreement with the Glencoe Park District. And again, I'll ask our public works director, Monica Sarah, to present.
Thank you. So this land use agreement includes, the work that's going to be performed for two separate projects. Because of their close proximity, they were included in the same IGA. So the first one I want to talk about is the greenhouse. This is on village property, with the target completion of next spring, so March of 2026. And this is a project that is being solely led by the park district. So all costs and maintenance of the greenhouse will all be the responsibility of the park district. Before I jump down to talk about the tree nursery, I just want to color or decolor code the map there. So the area in red is where the proposed greenhouse will be. Like I said, that is village owned property, and that is where the park district will be obtaining an easement from us to place the greenhouse there. The kind of zigzag line in yellow shows the path for parking of where our volunteers and our residents will be able to park and then access the greenhouse area. The area highlighted in purple is the existing Glencoe Community Gardens. One of the reasons that this site was so desirable for the location of the future greenhouse is because of its close proximity to Glencoe Community Gardens. And then the last color code, the area highlighted in green, is the area of Shelton Park that has been chosen as the proposed tree nursery location. So this is actually Park District property. But in this project, this is a joint effort. So the village and the Park District are coming together, and all of the costs associated with developing the tree nursery and maintaining the tree nursery, the intention is to split those costs 50-50. The timeline for this, we're hoping to start construction this fall in 2025, so that the site is ready for planting the first trees in the spring of 2026 planting season. It'll be on a 5-year cycle, and so we'll be planting trees for the next 5 years before we're ready to actually start removing those trees from the nursery and planting them within our parkways. This will not provide us all the trees that we need in our annual tree planting program, but it will definitely supplement our needs as well as the park district. Any questions?
For that excellent presentation, is there a motion to approve the greenhouse shelter park nursery land use agreement with the park district?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, let's have a roll call, please.
Trustee Hallwax.
Yes.
Trustee Lister.
Yes.
Trustee Mealoness.
Yes.
Trustee Underdog.
Yes.
Trustee Rubin.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Motion carried is carried, and the resolution for the greenhouse shelter park nursery land use agreement is approved. The next item on the agenda is consideration of a resolution authorizing the village manager to execute a contract with Fitch and Associates of Platte City, Missouri, for the purpose of a public safety staffing study for a fee not to exceed $66,000. And I will ask our human resources manager, Katie Gar, to present. Katie, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, President Rowland, Village Board, for allowing me to present on this agenda item today. As a part of the 2025-2027 strategic plan, as well as the 2025 village budget, the village requested a staffing study of the public safety department. The purpose of the staffing study is to provide the village with guidance on how to support and preserve the public safety staffing model for the current and future needs of the community. A staffing study should be a data-driven analysis of village information which compares us to external standards in order to maintain a high level of service for our community. Switching the slide right away. On February 20th, the village launched a request for proposals for staffing study vendors. 7 proposals were submitted by the due date. A panel consisting of deputy village manager, the public safety director, Public Safety Deputy Chief, and myself review the proposals for their experience with former clients, as well as with public safety departments. Of the 7, the panel interviewed the 3 most qualified proposals to gain insight on the vendor's experience, their usage of data in their analysis, and how they incorporate the needs of the stakeholders into the report. After these interviews, the panel unanimously agreed that Fitch and Associates is the most qualified vendor for the village. Fitch and Associates impressed the panel with 4 decades of experience in emergency service planning and analysis. Fitch and Associates brings in experience working with other hybrid public safety agencies, as well as with nearby public police and fire departments. Their multidisciplinary team brings a wealth of experience from police, fire, EMS, and they utilize GIS data. Fitch provides a data-driven analysis that would use the needs of Glencoe, both from a call for service perspective, as well as the needs of the community and the department. Fitch takes that data into account while incorporating information from national standards in similarly sized organizations. Fitch provides a client-centered approach, which is committed to fostering a strong relationship with Glencoe beyond the land study. As such, staff recommends authorizing the village manager to execute a professional services agreement with Fitch and Associates. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have, and we also have a representative, Guillermo Fuentes, on the line as well, if you have any questions.
Thanks for that presentation. Does anybody have questions for Katie? So we review this, and Katie, I think this is the first time you presented to the village board since you came as our service manager. Excellent job. Not surprised, you've been doing a great job, stepped in, it's been seamless. So, good on.
Thanks very much.
Unless there are any further points to be made, is there a motion to approve the resolution of the fire Fitch to work on public safety staff?
So moved.
Second.
The resolution has been moved, seconded, let's have a roll call, please.
Trustee Hallwax.
Yes.
Trustee Lister.
Yes.
Trustee Mealopolis.
Yes.
Trustee Underdog. Yes. Trustee Rubin.
Yes.
Trustee Scott.
Yes.
Motion carried, as carried, the resolution is approved. Thank you to the Fitch for being online. We're expecting excellent work in a very important project. Katie, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our agenda for this evening. Is there any other business that any of the trustees want to raise in our second to last meeting as a group together? I don't see any. We do not have a closed session tonight. Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Second.
The motion to adjourn has been moved, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I think so. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned. Great job, everybody.